What's up, sumo fans? My name is Johnny Sumo. Actually, my name's John, but we're just going to call it this because it's the first thing I came up with. But I'm beyond excited about the Nagoya Basho results, and I finally decided it's time to talk about it. I got to talk about it. I need to get it out. And there's so many storylines that came together. I wasn't so hot or hyped on this going into it. I was thinking this Basho was going to be mediocre. I'm like, Awanishki's kind of injured. Onosato has been not so good, pretty injured. Hoshoryu, same deal. Both Yokozunas are in rough shape. The storylines in my mind were like Kirishima. If he crushes it again, maybe he becomes a Yokozuna. That'd be pretty cool. But like otherwise, I wasn't super excited. But I think about halfway in, I really started getting hyped up. I mean, let's just start with the headliner, okay? The headliner is obviously, if you didn't know, spoilers are coming in about 3, 2, 1. Pause the video if you need to. But Aonishiki, man, crushed. From the very beginning of the Basho, I was like, okay, if he gets 10, that would be, I don't want to say a miracle, but like really solid performance. But to walk away with the Yusho after what looks like a pretty sprained ankle, and I heard a lost toenail, maybe even a broken toe. I don't know. We'll find out probably after all of this is resolved. But to win the Yusho, despite all of that, on top of just needing 10 wins, because that's easy, to get back to Ozeki, man, he went above and beyond and delivered both on a warrior's mindset. I keep seeing, if you check the Reddit sumo thread, you're going to see the same thing repeated everywhere. Warrior's mindset, a warrior type approach. He put away the pain. He locked that into a box somewhere in his head, the depths of his brain, and fought through it with stoicism was another word that I saw used. And I agree. But then after the match, typically there was a huge grimace that I haven't seen from Aonishiki since the very beginning. That said, he had a couple of troubles even in his time going up against, he still can't beat Yoshino Fuji for I don't know what reason. Everybody else has figured the guy out, but I think they wrestled together in college time, and they've got, I don't know, maybe Yoshino Fuji has just kind of figured Aonishiki out enough where nobody else has. And but Yoshino Fuji finished with a Makekoshi. He finished with a losing record of 7-8, which is unfortunate. Actually, he might have even been 6-9. We'll have to double check that. I don't have all the numbers in front of me. It'll go up on the screen here in a second to let you know what it actually was. He's not nearly as strong as Aonishiki's looking in general against all of the other opponents. And yet he was able to take him down. And then, of course, Atami Fuji just being the other thorn in his side going up against him on the final day. If Aonishiki won that, he would have clinched it right then and there. But no, he had to have more drama, unintentional drama, that actually gave Kirishima a little glimmer of hope of maybe he'd still be able to get that Yokozuna run if he could win the three-way tie between Aonishiki, Kirishima, and Atami Fuji. Now, I will tell you, I was super bummed when I watched Atami Fuji take out Aonishiki and the method that he did, because I was convinced. I'm like, there's no way Aonishiki on a bum ankle and a broken toe or lost toenail or whatever it is going to be able to take out both Atami Fuji a second time after he just lost to him, and Kirishima, despite the fact that he manhandled Kirishima in their regular match a couple of days prior. He flipped him over with some Aikido stuff of just like, he took him in and just shoved him out the other way, and off he went, Kirishima tumbling, somersaulting like Ura over the end of the doyo. It was incredible. But anyway, so we had Atami Fuji going up against Kirishima to start. And Kirishima, unsurprisingly, was able to take him out. Now, I thought that was pretty incredible. So Atami Fuji actually beat Kirishima. And Kirishima he didn't look so hot in a time where Kirishima generally beats Atami Fuji. Like, I'm not sure what the records are. Again, I'll bring it up here. We'll get better at this over time. This is the first one, all right? Everything is just experimental right now. But Kirishima, he lost. He lost, and he didn't even look particularly good. He was struggling against him. And at this point, I'm like, oh, Atami Fuji is going to win the U show. It seemed inevitable, as next up was Aonishiki, who we know is hurt, and we know had just lost to Atami Fuji. But no, Awanishki takes him out. It like pretty convincingly too. A little back and forth, but as soon as he gets that left hand grip on the belt, the Mawashi, forget it. He's in control, and he was there and took out Atami Fuji, who looked despondent. It was pretty sad, honestly, because Atami Fuji is just forever the bridesmaid, never the bride with that guy. I think that was his fourth or fifth Junyu show, right? So all that was left was Aonishiki versus Kirishima, and he smashed. He smashed again. You know, it looked for a second like it might be a good bout, but then he took him out. He took him out in Aonishiki style. He took a big fall, by the way. I'm not actually sure what the winning move was. Kirishima actually looked like he kind of just stepped out. But Aonishiki was obviously in control, pushing him out. So probably some sort of Yurikiri or something like that. I'm not sure. Oshitaoshi maybe. But anyway, Aonishiki took a pretty big fall there too. And if you see him, he was shaking off his shoulder when he got up. So I really hope he uses this time in between tournaments to heal up both on the foot, ice the heck out of it, and also whatever just happened with his shoulder. But that I was genuinely concerned Awanishiki was not going to be able to carry all his trophies as they were handing him this. You know, they're known for being like 80 pounds or something each, some of these things. So he seemed to handle it just fine. And again, did a good job not showing any emotion throughout that process. His interview was good. He looked definitely winded still after three pretty quick succession matches, and obviously as high intensity as they're going to get. But at the end of the day, he walked away with the U show. And once again, I think he stole Japan's heart, the sumo heart, when it comes to all of the foreigners that are in sumo wrestling. Aonishiki, I think, has got it. Now, that said, there's another guy from Ukraine that did quite well during the tournament. Shishi, I gotta say, I was impressed. He had better footwork than he had in a while. He really crushed the lower ranks, but he struggled. He did struggle when he started going up the ranks. The Kotazakura match was great. Kotazakura honestly looked really nice. He had a nice pull down on Shishi, very technical, and it just showed that he is still Ozeki. Kotazakura, by the way, we haven't talked about him yet, came back from Kadoban. So he will continue to be an Ozeki next Basho as well. Very exciting. I'm rooting for the guy. He's been in Ozeki ranks for quite some time now, and it would have been a little sad to see him drop out. I think he's dealt with some injuries over the last few Basho, but he looked, despite not having like a dominating result, he looked pretty good. Of course, that takes us to the other two that we should be talking about, which is the Yokozuna. And again, coming into this, I was a little worried for both of them. Onosato has just not looked good. I was really concerned that both of them were going to go out Kyujo middle of the tournament, 4 days in again or something like that. But, Onosato impressed me. He was down. He had a losing record, not locked in, but he was down wins to losses. I think he was like 4-5 or something like that. I'm like, oh, I was expecting it. I was expecting the pullout, but no, he kept going. And credit to him because you could see in the first few matches, especially, he has rust. Right? He did some pulling. He didn't look clean. He was frustrated. By day 6, he just looked beyond frustrated. And then he started getting some wins. And once he really started to pile up and get about equal, you could see his forward moving sumo, which is, I think, a big indicator of his mental state, was back. Now, of course, we have the injury. I think it was it the clavicle that he broke or the shoulder injury from the Aonishiki battle, like 6 months ago at this point. Generally looked very strong. That was amazing. He did, I thought, very good sumo the second half of the Basho and ended up with a very respectable, not for Yokozuna respectable, but in general, keep in mind, he's going against all of the top guys and he walked away 9-6. I think that's pretty good. I would take it. I would be like, okay, I did take it. We all took it because that's what he did. So you don't have a choice. But I was very happy with the result. And I look forward to next Basho. I think next Basho if he can keep this momentum going, he's going to be great. It's going to be a fantastic Basho. I'm sure if he can have a couple of good days, he's going to be a Yusho contender again. And frankly, healthy Onosato generally beats healthy Aonishiki. So maybe Aonishiki figured him out. That was a close match, by the way. The Aonishiki versus Onosato match was very close, pushed up against the Tawara, grabs the belt, spins him around. Onosato goes down. Big, oh my goodness, I can't believe that. I had no faith in Aonishiki winning that one. This was a bit earlier on where I'm like, okay, he got his 10-2, I think he was, right? We're good. Anything else is icing on the cake. Forget it against Onosato, not going to happen. Well, it happened, and he I'm sure exceeded my and most viewers' expectations with the moves that he put on the Yokozuna. And obviously, he beat Hoshurio because Hoshurio cannot beat Aonishiki. It's just not possible. Hoshurio, on the other hand, Hoshuryu, sorry, he was looking rough from about day 4. He had a couple of wins early on. In fact, it looked like he was going to continue to do very well. I think he was maybe 3-1 or 4-1 at one point when Onosato was like 1-4. So I was like, I'm sure I wasn't the only one thinking, okay, at least one of the Yokozuna is representing appropriately. But he fell off on the back end. So they ended up like crossing paths where Onosato picked up the slack. And again, Kyujo Hoshoryu was sad to see, but at the same time, we know his knee isn't in good shape, and I hope he's taking care of it. And also, historically, he's wanted to stay in and continue wrestling throughout the tournament as long as he can. So I'm not sure. To me, it seems like he was probably needing the break, and it wasn't just too close to a losing record. Regardless, obviously, unfortunate for him. That did also affect Kirishima, right? Because I think Kirishima had a walkover win over Hoshoryu because of that. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about a different wrestler, but I'm pretty sure it was Kirishima versus Hoshoryu, and he walked away with the free win. So back to Kirishima, his dreams of Yokozuna, they're not over, but as strong as he looked early on, after he started getting a couple of those losses towards the end, it just didn't feel the same. It looked like it was a little bit of a kick in the pants to the guy. I think he had the wind taken from his sails a bit, especially at the end, and even getting into the playoffs. I didn't see that confidence from him. He looked a little off. Now that could be me reading into the situation, but I can't help but think like maybe he thought, he was going to get it in a commanding method, and he didn't. Instead, it was like handed to him of like, here's a second chance. And he didn't deliver on that. He couldn't Aonishiki for whatever reason. Kirishima struggles just like Hoshoryu. And unfortunately, that sealed the deal that he's not going to be Yokozuna, I don't believe, at the end of this Basho. But we may have one coming up soon with Aonishiki, who has won 3 times now, I think. I think he's got 3 Yusho under his belt. That's insane. Just talking about at the top division. And back to Ozeki, right? So, like, beautiful, beautiful comeback story. I loved it. Okay. All right. That basically covers most of Maegashira ranks for us. No one else is standing out to me as like really important stories. I was surprised by the number of 7-7s. Mitaki Umi didn't look very good. I think he finished 2-2 or 3-12, maybe 2-13, something like that. So I think he's headed back down to Juryo. We had Oshoma and Onokatsu and Oho. None of them look good. Hakuno Fuji looked pretty good, so I think he's going to have a good result here. Daomi didn't look very good. There was a big just mix of performances. Now, I will say, it was nice to see Nishiki Fuji looking pretty good after he's had a rough stay the last year, really. I feel like he's been struggling for a solid year there, keeping the hopes and dreams of his stable alive by staying in the top ranks. I believe their stable have had somebody in the top ranks for, I don't know, the better part of a century, probably, because Sumo is super old. But yeah, really nice performance by him. Asakura is always fun to watch as well. Oh, I almost forgot. There is one other guy we needed to talk about. and that is Fuji no Kawa. Dude, this guy he's the honey badger. I don't know why he doesn't have a honey badger on his Kesho Mawashi, but he should, and most definitely deserves it, as he is not scared of anyone or anything. Him manhandling Oho is burned into my brain. He picked up a 400-pound dude. How much does Oho weigh? I can look this up actually while I'm talking here. Oho weighs 185 kg. If you didn't know, 185 times 2, that's 407. He just deadlifted the guy out of the ring and dumped him. That was incredible. So I got to say, him winning a fighting spirit prize is not surprising at all because he was incredible. The other notable person I wanted to mention was Koto Eho. He looked fantastic from the very start, and honestly, not just his Shiko, which always looks spectacular, but he was going to the belt with some very tough opponents and winning convincingly. So congratulations to him. We also had a really well performing Takaru Fuji. Not honestly, I will say this: Takada Fuji is fun to watch, but to me, he feels very one-dimensional. Where as soon as you're on the belt with him, I think he did win a couple of Mawashi battles there, but generally, as soon as you get him on the belt and resist his charge, he's kind of like Gonoyama. He's kind of out of the game as soon as you catch him on his one trick. I'd like to see some newfound technique from him beyond what he, charging hard into his opponent. But otherwise, obviously, he still had a really nice performance. I wasn't surprised, though, that he didn't make it to the tiebreaker, if I'm honest. All right, that's going to take us down to Juryo Division 2, which was also a lot of fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, we had Enho, the story of the comeback king. Obviously, everybody's been rooting for him. The entire stadium roots for that guy when he comes in. He barely walked away with the Kachikochi. He 8-7 record win over Budoho on the final day, so he won against a Division 3 guy in order to get that Kachikochi. Still counts. I'm not saying that doesn't diminish anything. These are guys that are essentially on the same level anyway. But I was worried for him. I didn't know if he was going to be able to pull it out. So he's going to be able to stay in Juryo, which is really exciting. And I'm excited to see if he can continue to move up the ranks there. Other stories that I was kind of paying attention to in Juryo was Midori Fuji. Early on, I was wondering, is he going to go for the Juryo Yusho? And it seemed likely. He is a very talented wrestler. But unfortunately for him, he had 5 losses in a row. And so that obviously made it pretty clear that it wasn't going to happen. He did get a final win over Nishikigi, giving Nishikigi his Makekoshi and obviously walking away with his Kachikoshi. So he's going to continue to move up the ranks next week, or next Basho, which is super exciting. Other former top division wrestlers, though, did pretty well. We had Tamawashi. He walked away with a Kachikoshi. I think he finished at a nice 9-6 after taking out Dewa Noryu. Shiro Kuma, who I believe has been in the top division at least once, he finished off with a mediocre finish. Again, he was running hot early on, and then he just lost like 5 days in a row. But then we also had a group of guys that just were crushing it all tournament. Besides Shiro Kuma, we had Arashi Fuji. Asasuiryu was doing quite well. And then finally, Shonan Naomi, who obviously walked away with the Yusho, looked great. And honestly, that might have been one of my most fun wins to watch in a while. When Shonan Naomi, so that if you didn't know, there was another playoff for Juryo, and it was 4 guys. We had Shonan Naomi, we had Arashi Fuji, we had Sasuiryu, and I believe we had Toshino Fuji, who, there was a great set of playoffs, some really good matches. Arashi Fuji, super exciting wrestler, first time in Juryo and got the Jun Yusho. That's pretty impressive. But honestly, Shonan Naomi looked great all Basho, and I was very impressed with his sumo. There were some technical moves that he had in the last couple of days that impressed me, and not only that, when he won the playoffs, he was pumped. And if you didn't see that, I don't have clips of it, unfortunately, but you need to go see. He gives like a little like, yes, you can tell he was pumped. And same deal when he got the Kensho, he was like, yes, got it. Oh, there was no Kensho. It's Juryo, but he was very pumped, and it was some fist pumping going on there. So that was super awesome. So it'll be interesting to see what the Banzuke looks like as we get into next tournament. Now we got more to talk about. Obviously, Makushita Division 3 was also super exciting with a 6-way playoff. I'm not sure I've got all the names here. Let me take a quick look. So this is the first time that I've seen a 6-person playoff. It was really interesting to see how they had a little mini bracket. Usually, most of the playoffs that I can remember are drawing straws, right? Which we did obviously in the top divisions. But they had a whole setup bracket for this one, which was really cool with a graphic on Abima if you watch it there. So we had Fudoho versus Hanana Umi, where Fudoho took the win there. We had Nabatami versus Asahi Fuji, which, if you didn't know, Nabatami was the one who crushed the hopes and dreams of Asahi Fuji, having the all-time record for most wins before any losses, and the speed run all the way up to Division 1, coming to a unexpected end. Frankly, I did not expect Nabatami to beat him, especially not in the fashion he did, where he blew him out of the doyo. Now, I will say, if you watch that match back, Asahi Fuji has like a little hiccup to the start and then kind of backs off, and then they go at the same time as they sync up. But I'm not sure Asahi Fuji was fully synced. Not taking anything away from Nabatami's win, he won that fair and square. Nothing like that, of course. But it's the first time that I ever saw Asahi Fuji not leaving his stance at the same exact moment. I wonder if that played a component of the loss there, because it was immediately he was off balance, right? And normally that's not something that happens with him. But anyway, he got his revenge in the bracket, not only taking out Nabatame, but hold on a second. Because next up we had Ryuho against Mita, which Mita, by the way, coming back from injury, also looked fantastic. I think he lost. Did he only lose to Asahi Fuji as well? I think so. No, I stand corrected. His only loss was to Tensho Yama, who is also a beast. It was a really good match. But going back to the bracket here, Mita lost to Ryuho, which is fine. Mita, you did your job coming back from injury. We're all proud of you. But then Wakamiyabi got the walkover and went up against Ryuho, which ended up being a winning match for Wakamiyabi, which was kind of nice to see. So 3 of these guys are from Futagoyama Beya, which was super exciting because they, you could watch them on YouTube. You can kind of have that parasocial relationship with them. So it's hard not to root for them after you see Navatami with his Coke can glasses or Coke bottle glasses with how thick they are. And he's pretty funny, by the way. But anyway, Wakamiyabi makes it to the finals of that bracket. So now we had Fudoho against Fudoho against Asahi Fuji, who Asahi Fuji took him out pretty convincingly. He took his time on that match and really like made sure that he wasn't going to lose. I appreciated his approach to that match. And finally, he goes up against Wakamiyabi, only to take him out pretty quickly. So he was the Futagoyama Beya killer for this particular tournament. But everybody did great. And it was nice seeing Asahi Fuji, despite losing that 27-0 record attempt, still walk away with another U-show. That was pretty cool. And now he gets to win one more Division 3 U-show potentially, because I don't think he's going to move up into Juryo from this. Although I guess it's possible. I don't think he will. At least the general talk in town is that he will not. So, can he do it again? And my guess is yes, considering that he just did. He's certainly going into Juryo here very soon. And that does bring us down to the final division that I'm going to talk about, which was Sandanme. And a couple of interesting things going on in Sandanme was Miyanokaze was coming back. He looked pretty good. He did not win, of course. He lost to, I think he lost to the Yusho winner for Sandanme. I don't remember off the top of my head. But Miyanokaze obviously was a former Juryo wrestler, injured his elbow. And it was good seeing him back in. Looked really good. Looked really strong. And had a very good Basho, very clearly showed that he should be heading back up at the very least to the top of Makushita, but maybe I'm not sure how he's going to perform going into Juryo again. He didn't spend much time in Juryo, right? So let's be honest here. But he'll probably make his way back up there, I think. Also in these lower ranks, we had Shimazu Umi was looking pretty good again. Bushozan did get a Kachikoshi. I think he walked away with 4-3 record in he's currently in Sandanme. So great for him to not fall any further, but still not looking like himself. He's got a long way to go. And just some other couple of fun matches that I watched. There were some really good Yamato matches. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. And Shunta, honestly, he's another Futa Goyama Beya guy, and he went up against Dewa Nojo, who's the heaviest wrestler in pro sumo wrestling right now, at like 500 pounds, or I don't want to overstate it, but he's a big dude. The refrigerator, I think he's known as. Shunta looked good. He took him out. He just powered him through, and I think he's ready for Sandanme with Umeyama not too far behind him is my guess. Who they started together at the Futa Goyama Beya. So definitely check them out if you haven't watched them on YouTube. Anyway, that's it. That's all I had to talk about. I was super excited about the Basho, hence me recording this here today. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. If you enjoyed this, leave me a comment. Let me know. Honestly, I'm not sure I'll ever do this again. I'm kind of putting myself out there a little bit. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the next one. If you're into this type of recording, let me know. I could do a Banzuke guess and review as that comes down to it, and talk about maybe some other topics because I do love me some sumo. Thanks for watching. Take care.